Shalom and good morning, everybody. We are back with some more Torah. We are continuing the laws of the how to destroy and nullify Chametz. We are live on YouTube. We're live, I think, on Facebook. And of course, our Chabura is live on our Zoom channel. So we welcome everybody, and we hope you have a beautiful month of Nisan Chodesh Tov. This is the third of probably 4 or 5 classes on how to search for Chametz. We're in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Siman 111. We're going to do number 10. So we've done the search. We've put out we've done the whole thing. Put out pieces, collected them. Now what? Right after you finish doing this, you need to nullify Chametz. And the most critical part of nullifying Chametz is actually in one's heart. A person has to resolve in their heart. All the Chametz that they have in their possession, it's as if it doesn't belong, or it doesn't exist, and if it does exist, it's not his. If and it doesn't have any importance. It's like dust. Something that has no purpose. It's meaningless, and has not, and it's got no value. The sages say you have to say this out loud. It's not enough just to think it. It's not enough to read it. You have to make this a verbal expression for it to count. A person should say the Kol Chamira text. So there is a text which we can find in a lot of Sidurim, a lot of Haggadahs, actually. At the very beginning, many Haggadahs have they start with this, and they'll have the prayer for searching for the Chametz and the Kol Chamira, which is in Aramaic. And if you don't understand Aramaic, say it in a language that you understand. And then the Kitzur goes on to say it in Yiddish. We're going to say it in English. All the sourdough, right? That is especially appropriate now that we've come out of the pandemic, where everybody, of course, has to have sourdough. Of course, I'm joking. All sourdough chametz is found in my possession, which I have not seen and not to search, to be nullified and considered like the dust of the earth. Now, there's an entire paragraph after that those who are into Kabbalah say, and some Hasidim say, and actually it doesn't work if you say the declaration in a language you don't understand. So you have to say it in a language you understand. You can say it in a language you don't understand and in one you do understand. And then this extra part you add in is in some, but it's not required. Okay, so now that ends the night before Erev Pesach. So now we're on the 14th in Nisan, Erev Pesach, in the morning. The process continues, and we might have collected stuff, but now we have to destroy all the remaining chametz in our possession, right? So maybe we saved a little stuff for breakfast, or we saved some things that we wanted to get the mitzvah of burning or destroying. And there are a number of ways of accomplishing getting rid of this remaining chametz in the morning. And the custom is most of us burn the chametz, but you need to do that in a safe way. Number 11, even though you nullified the chametz balayla in the evening, lachar bedika, the night, the next day, even though you did it at night, mikol makam, nonetheless, gam bayom, even on the day, lachar shesarafa, so after you burn the remaining chametz, you have to go back and nullify again the chametz. The yechol kol chametz, and you say the same phrase and include all the chametz, even that you're unaware of. You say the same exact thing that you said the night before. Why do we do this again? Well, there's a few reasons. So first of all, maybe you got some chametz, came into your possession following last night's nullification. Maybe there was some chametz which got inadvertently left over from the chametz that remained the previous night or that you burned. And so we don't rely on just one nullification, we're going to do another one. And burning is the preferred method of destruction. So we do this right after the burning. And what's very interesting is that we have the time, certain time demands here. It's not just any time. We have a whole Seder on Erev Pesach, which we need to be attentive to. So let's quickly review this. So there's the 4th hour, the 5th hour, the 6th hour. So by the end of the 4th, we have to stop eating it. By the end of the 5th, we have to destroy it, and by the end of the 6th, it has to be totally gone. So if before the 6th hour, an Erev Pesach, you could still technically own it, right? But we're going to have given it away or sold it. You don't need to burn it. So we burn the stuff that we're not selling, okay? Or, that hasn't been given away. Now, according to Rav Moshe Feinstein, you cannot dispose of the chametz by putting it in a garbage can that is their own property. Okay, but most of the garbage cans here in Los Angeles are actually owned by the city, so it's a little bit different. But your own garbage can is still yours. So if you put it in your garbage can and the garbage won't be picked up until after Pesach starts, or even the afternoon before Pesach starts, you have a problem. So if you have a LA city garbage can, you're in a better shape or any city you might live in, because then technically once it goes in there, it belongs to the city. You pull it out to the street, ideally. And so you can dispose of chametz into a bin, a garbage can, which belongs to somebody else like the city, not your neighbor. That's not nice. Unless your neighbor is non-Jewish and is totally cool with you putting your chametz in there, then that is fine. But it just can't be yours or one owned by a Jew. And we definitely say you should hold on to a little chametz so you can burn it in the morning, because there's a mitzvah to destroy chametz, and it's exciting to do, especially with the kids. Okay, number 12. Let's say you have an issue with you need to do b'dikas chametz on a place, but it might be difficult to do it at the right time. You have a room that's going to be owned by a Jew, and it needs b'dikas chametz. But you want to make it into a storeroom, or you're going to be storing things there. Perusha, for example, you want to store there, let's say, peiros or eitzim or shar dvarim. You're going to store there wood or fruit or something else. But when you fill it up, the week before Pesach, all of a sudden, now it's going to be so full of stuff, it's going to make it hard to check for chametz. Here's what you should do. You do a search for chametz in this room at nighttime before you store the goods there, like you would be doing a bedikas chametz, the same manner. Leil Yodalit on the night of the 14th. Even if there's a lot of time until Pesach, and even if it's right after Pesach, so this could even be from the day after the Pesach, and Pesach's not for 350 some days, right? It's okay. Ubediavad, let's say you didn't do that. Okay? You filled up the room. Then you remembered you're gonna you're not going to be able to get that stuff out before Pesach to check. If you didn't inspect it before converting it into a storeroom, here's the halacha. If you intend to clear it out before the time of B'digas Chametz arrives, i.e. the night before the 14th, right? The night of the 14th, the day before Pesach. You don't have to search it now. You should wait till that time. But let's say you intend to clear it out during Pesach. Let's say it's full of apples, and you know that the Chol Moed, they're going to come and they're going to take out all the apples or whatever you have in there, and it's going to be on Pesach. You have to clear it out now and search for the chametz, even though there's going to be a considerable expense and effort involved. In other words, if you have a place that is going to be impossible to check, even if it's going to be filled with stuff when Pesach starts, and then it's going to be empty during Pesach. We have to empty it first and then check it before Pesach, because what happens once you start emptying this room out on Pesach, you might find something, right? Number 13. Let's say you converted the room into a storeroom, but you're not going to open it. Right? So that whole case was a room you're going to open. What about a room you're not going to open? Then there's going to be a little bit of a differentiation regarding what to do. Let's say this room, it's a storeroom, and it's more than 30 days before Pesach. You do not have to search it for Pesach, unless you know there's chametz there. You should first dispose of it, and then you can rely on the nullification. When you nullify all the chametz at the right time. But if this conversion of the room into a storehouse happens 30 days before Pesach, because then you have to do a bedika, you have to do a search. Since we shoyelim v'dorshin, that's what we're doing right now, right? We are looking into and asking questions and expounding upon Hilchos Pesach, the laws of Pesach. 30 days before Pesach. And right, we have to be v'tzarich levadko. You're going to have to search. Let's say b'diavad, after the fact. Im shachach lo, but if you didn't check this room, you forgot. Tzarich lefanos etza'oit. So you have to empty out the storeroom. Levadko b'layla. Take it lachar sheniskar, as soon as you remember. So these two interesting halachas are they're going to come up. They're going to come up at some point if you're renting a storage place. Let's say you're moving houses, and you're going to put all your stuff into storage. This issue could come up. So it's even if one thinks, well, listen, I don't have a warehouse business. I'm not in. I work online, whatever, or I'm a doctor, a teacher, whatever you do. Eventually all of us at some point, it seems, will be renting a storage. I mean, it's almost like, the joke, the things you can depend on, right, are death and taxes. So I think everybody also is going to be renting at some point from one of the big storage companies. And let's say they deliver to you one of these big containers, okay? And this happens a lot. Let's say you're moving, or you're having work done in a house, or some other reason, and they deliver you a pod. Okay, so now you have a pod. You're not going to open the pod until after Pesach. So you want to make sure before you start loading your stuff into that pod that there is no chametz in there. Okay, a visual inspection is enough. If you want to do it by night, that seems to be the preferable method. But I think that's a real halacha l'maisa. That's a real practical application of this halacha. Will be the delivery pod or the place in the storage facility. Okay, v'im oise, number 14, oitzer kavod. You make we're going to skip this one. This one's a little bit. We're going to jump to number 16. Another very common thing. You're going on a journey before Pesach. You can appoint an agent, a shaliach, before you go, to search for and nullify your chametz. We're going to get into this one. You should instruct your shaliach specifically. You are my shaliach for this mitzvah. To do the bedika, to do the bittul, and when the agent says the bittul, they should say chametzo, the chametz of so and so, because it's not his. Mikol makom, gam hu, the owner, kasher hu sham, wherever he is, be'erev Pesach, babokir, the morning of erev Pesach, so should nullify. So you've appointed somebody, they're going to do stuff for you, and you're still going to do it wherever you are. You're still going to do that nullification of chametz. Now, couple of points here. You might say, well, why do I need an agent? I'm locking my house and I'm leaving. So the answer is you probably don't, right? Because the Kitzer here is coming to teach us about a situation where chametz will be brought into the premises, the possession of the owner after they leave. So, for example, we're expecting delivery of something. I've already left town, but there's going to be chametz coming. If no chametz will be brought into the house after the owners leave, instead of appointing an agent, they can fulfill their obligation by performing bidduch chametz the night before they leave without a bracha. So the agent is only required when there's additional chametz coming. But in the case that the apartment or the RV or the home or the office is going to be empty during all of Pesach and not being used at all by the owner, then the person just has to do a bedika before they go, the night before they go, and that's sufficient. If they're traveling more than 30 days before Pesach, they left town before Purim, they're not even subject generally to the laws of bedikas chametz, unless they're going to return, closer on Pesach or right during Chol Moed. But you still have to sell your chametz, right? So even though you're away for Pesach and you don't have to do bedikas chametz, you don't have to check your home for chametz, you're still not allowed to own chametz. So unfortunately, people make this mistake. It's an easy mistake to make. I'm going away for Pesach, and we get these frantic calls right before Pesach. They're calling from who knows where, and they say, I left town, I forgot to sell chametz, what do I do? So thank God you can do it online, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to rush to your computer. You're going to find maybe you're going to sellmychametz.com, which is a real website that I built, and you're going to sell your chametz there or another one. Okay. Now let's say you're going away for Pesach. You can sell your everything in the house, right? The entire property. And if you're doing that, you may be now relieved of the obligation to check for chametz. okay, speak to a Rav about this. But if you're leaving before Pesach and you're selling the whole house, right? You just say all the contents of the house, you might. Well, that is a possibility, and you for sure want to do that in consultation with your local Orthodox rabbinic authority. Okay, now we continue. There is an opinion that nullification of it by an agent is not effective. Okay, so that's going to definitely be the backup solution, and we always have to remember the three things, and I'll just keep reminding ourselves. We're not allowed to own chametz. We're not allowed to have it in a place that we control, we own, our homes, our apartments, our and so forth. And we're not supposed to see it in our possession. You are allowed to sell it and keep it on your premises. You still should have it covered. And right, you're allowed to sell it if it's in your office or in your storeroom or so forth, right? And it's very important when you fill out the sale of chametz form that you include all of those addresses and locations in as much detail as possible. Okay, that finishes number 16. In our next class, we're going to discuss what happens if you find chametz in your home on Pesach, and answer any more chametz questions. Everybody have a wonderful day.